Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't require any rocket science to understand that there is tension between President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua. Kindly bear with my voice. Just a few days ago, Kanini Kega, who was appointed to take over Jubelee party from Uhuru Kenyatta and hand it over to William Ruto, faced humiliation when the youths from Mount Kenya denied him an opportunity to address them, and it took the intervention of Maina Njenga to quell the tempers and allowed them to talk, or allowed him to address the rally or the meeting that was there. And then we saw a kind of Cold War when President Ruto took over the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and handed it over to Musalia Mudavadi. And that did not go down well with Rigathi Gachagua. And I remember the Nyeri governor, Mutahi Kahiga, communicated some raw message to William Ruto, and he talked about their numbers, and he told them that Rigathi Gachagua has got tenure of office, and that they are joined together, they were elected together, and William Ruto has got no choice but to tolerate him. And then of late we have seen people like the trade minister, former trade minister that is, Moses Kuria, telling off deputy president about his narrative about the shareholders politics that he has continued to make. When he refused to listen, William Ruto took it upon himself and said he actually used very strong words against his deputy for claiming that there are certain quarters of this country that are non-shareholders. And so William Ruto was really alarmed when Mount Kenya decided to hold certain meetings. We heard of a meeting in Thika. And then, as if that was not enough, Rigathi Gachagua rushed to Inoro FM and said that he wanted to meet Uhuru Kenyatta so that they could reconcile and unite Mount Kenya fraternity together. Even though he was saying that they want to unite behind William Ruto, William Ruto was actually alarmed. And he knew very well that the unity call could also be the beginning of his problems. For those who follow this channel, I have always indicated and maintained that the day Rigathi Gachagua will succeed in uniting Mount Kenya, for example, if people like Ndindi Nyoro and Moses Kuria and Maina Njenga, all those people, Martha Karua, all those people are not reading from the same page with Rigathi Gachagua. The day they will come together and listen to Rigathi, that is the day William Ruto's problems will begin. No wonder William Ruto knows very well what is happening. Ndindi Nyoro is a checkmate to Rigathi Gachagua. Moses Kuria is placed there to show Rigathi Gachagua that is not the Mount Kenya kingpin. And Maina Njenga has been allowed by William Ruto to conduct rallies and is attracting youths. If William Ruto did not know what is happening, he would have instructed the police not to allow such a meeting. To crown it off, Sabina Chege, who was ostensibly being given the role of being the Jubilee party leader, lost her seat as the deputy minority chief whip, and she was replaced now officially by the High Court by the Embakasi West member of Parliament. Even though Sabina Chege wants to appeal against this ruling, I can assure you that that ruling is going to stand because William Ruto controls the courts and the judiciary. But then, what has informed the decision to ensure that Kanini Kega is being embarrassed? And less than 72 hours later, Sabina Chege finds herself in trouble. Why is Sabina's Chege neck on the chopping board? Because one would ask, what has really changed? And for us to understand this, we can only ask ourselves one question and we will answer it. What was the role of Sabina Chege and Kanini Kega? And that was explained clearly by Rigathi Gachagua and Ndindi Nyoro, that the former president Uhuru Kenyatta was the sole sponsor and the financier of the Azimio rallies and demonstrations. And they made it very clear that Uhuru Kenyatta had a lot of money and he was sponsoring the demonstrations to rock the government from within. And if that was the case, because that informed even the decision to invade the Uhuru's Northland farm, it also informed the decision to try and interfere with Mama Ngina, removing security, interfering with Uhuru's son. If that was the case, they thought that Uhuru was financing demonstrations, then it goes without saying that their role is no longer needed because Raila called off the demonstrations. And in its place, they decided to form a dialogue team headed by Kalonzo Musyoka and Kimani Ichung'wah. So it tells you that Kanini Kega and Sabina Chege are not adding any value because they were thriving in the violence that was happening. Uhuru Kenyatta has left the country and is nowhere to be seen. Raila Odinga has said that they are not going back to the streets. Instead, dialogue is taking place. And among the things that they lined together is non-interference with political parties. And that means that one, Jubelee party must go back to Uhuru Kenyatta and it must be left for the real Jubelee party leaders. That is Uhuru Kenyatta. We have Jeremiah Kioni and David Murathe to decide whether they still want to stay in Azimio or they want to move to another formation. And that is why Sabina Chege lost her seat. And in the next move, I can assure you that Jubelee is going to go back to Uhuru Kenyatta. Sabina Chege might even lose her position as a nominated member of parliament because she was behaving with a lot of pride, yet she knows very well that she was given her seat courtesy of the Jubelee nomination. Kanini Kega might also find it very rough. He might also lose his seat as the East African Member of Parliament, Iyala. The second thing that is happening that really scared William Ruto is that Rigathi Gachagua wants to reconcile with Uhuru Kenyatta. And William Ruto has decided that before Rigathi reaches to Uhuru Kenyatta, he will reach there before Rigathi Gachagua. And that is why he has decided that Jubelee is going back to Uhuru Kenyatta. He has also decided that Kanini Kega, or he's allowing Mainanjenga to conduct rallies because Mainanjenga is simply communicating the language or message from Uhuru Kenyatta. And so, ladies and gentlemen, with Raila silent, because many people think that it is true that the meeting that is being alleged that took place between Raila and William Ruto actually took place in Mombasa. And they might have decided that they wanted to tone down the rhetorics because Raila was very much concerned that people were dying, people were, retrieved from their homes in Kisumu. And he decided that he never wanted blood. I have told you that if there is something that will cause Raila Odinga his presidency forever, is his statesman attitude, is the ability to retreat when he realizes that people are suffering. Of course, many supporters don't like it because even to date, people are still telling me in the messages that Raila must not give up on the quest to open the server to know who won and take his victory. That Raila must fight so that people who died in the process, must have justice. Be that as it may, Raila has decided that he does not want that confrontational politics. And so, if Rigathi Gachagua thought that he will extend an olive, branch like he did, William Ruto is going to do it before him. And this is how. Rigathi Gachagua has a very bad relationship between himself and Raila Odinga. He keeps on saying that Raila, he calls him Mzee Kitandawili, wants to come to the government through the back door. And yet the relationship between Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta is one that is very amicable. Rigathi Gachagua cannot reach Uhuru Kenyatta by himself. He needs to use someone. He can't use Raila. He can't use Kalonzo because I also saw people like Wavinya Ndeti telling off Rigathi that anytime Rigathi goes to Kambani, he takes 40 minutes talking about one person, talking about Kalonzo. And he's telling them that Kalonzo made a wrong choice by supporting a failed formation. And with that, they don't like, and I know Kalonzo does not like Rigathi Gachagua. So he cannot use Kalonzo to use Uhuru Kenyatta. He cannot use Maina Njenga because he has been frustrating Maina Njenga in being arrested every now and then. Even though Maina Njenga said that he wants to unite Rigathi and Uhuru, I think he's only showing, Maina was showing Maina Njenga that there comes a time when he is bigger than Rigathi Gachagua, because when it comes to reconciliation, Rigathi cannot reach Uhuru Kenyatta directly. Not unless Uhuru will just decide to humble himself down and come. But going by what has happened, because Rigathi Gachagua is the deputy president, and when Uhuru's family was being frustrated, he expected that Rigathi would stand by his side. Rigathi did not do. So Rigathi cannot reach Uhuru Kenyatta, even if he wanted reconciliation. And the people who should have helped him are also his enemies. And William Ruto knows very well that if Rigathi would use that opportunity to get to Uhuru Kenyatta before him, then William Ruto will be in trouble. Because Uhuru Kenyatta has got a lot of support from the people who were hoodwinked that it was the genesis of their problems. Right now they realize that the prices of basic commodities are just too high, courtesy of the VAT on fuel products. And they are also asking questions. Why whenever William Ruto goes to Central, he only launches projects that were initiated by Uhuru Kenyatta? Even today, the much hyped MV Uhuru that was being launched in Kisumu was an initiative of Uhuru Kenyatta, and William Ruto acknowledged as much. And for the first time, William Ruto took that opportunity to praise William Ruto in front of Rigathi Gachagua. The same projects that Rigathi had really protested against and said that Raila had taken away Uhuru Kenyatta and he was taking all the billions of shillings to Kisumu. William Ruto was busy praising in the presence of Rigathi Gachagua. And for those who watched my earlier video, after Rigathi Gachagua had said that he was not going to follow Ruto in his campaigns, he said he was remaining behind to protect Mount Kenya and Rift Valley. William Ruto decided very intentionally to summon a cabinet meeting in Kisumu State Lodge, knowing very well that with that, Rigathi had no choice but to come. And he wanted Rigathi Gachagua to witness the launching of that project that he had complained about. And their differences now is as clear as crystal.